Starting here, we're going to do a one-day mini unit on 8.2, which is about the shape ellipse. Now, ellipse is what a lot of people think about ellipses are that they're just ovals, but they do have some more specific properties than that. We'll start with where does it come from? Now, an ellipse is part of what we call the conic sections, and a conic section is basically, if you can picture these as cones, like you see all through here, they're taking a slice and just cutting a cone at a certain spot. And in this case, with the ellipse, you're cutting a cone at basically just some angle other than the angle of the side of that cone. So that will create for you an ellipse. There are two other ones on this page. We're not going to talk a lot about them, but we've already done a lot with parabolas this year. Parabolas are when you slice it parallel to the side of the cone, and then also hyperbola is something that looks kind of like parabolas, but this one is going to slice it parallel to the line right through the middle of those cones. So just some different shapes that you can get from cones and they're overall called conic sections. Now, more specifically for an ellipse, we have a few characteristics. An ellipse has some important points that you'll want to know. It's got vertices, which are going to be points just at the very end of the longer side of the ellipse. The shorter side would be right there. You can call those minor vertices and these major vertices, but either way, if you're just talking one set, these are going to be called the vertices. It has a center, of course, and then it has 2 points called, each one called the focus. The plural is foci, and those are going to help generate the shape of this ellipse. So here's a way to imagine that. Imagine that you've got a string, piece of yarn right here. So just this red piece of yarn. And what we're going to do, it's almost like we're using a compass for a circle, but we're going to stretch this piece of yarn to a pencil, go as far as we can, and then just sort of drag it around. What that's going to mean is that any point on this ellipse, maybe I go over here as well, if I go from here to here, here to here, no matter where you're at, the two sides of the red yarn are going to add to the same distance. And so you can get this ellipse by just doing this a bunch of times all the way around. It could even work over here. We've got there and there. It could work over here. There's lots of different ways for this string to be stretched, and as you go around, if you stretch, that's the same distance total between those two strings. That's how an ellipse could be generated if you're drawing one.